You look incredibly successful on the outside, but behind closed doors, you're one missed paycheck from total ruin. That was exactly me a few years ago. You walk into your go-to downtown coffee shop, a $6 latte in hand, wearing a crisp button-down shirt, and you swipe a shiny platinum credit card to pay. You look like you're completely in control of your life. That was exactly me a few years ago. A 30-year-old office worker, putting on a sharp suit every single day, grinding from 9 to 5, and absolutely convinced I was living the American dream. Have you ever felt like that? That incredibly tempting rush of satisfaction when you swipe your card for everything, from upscale downtown dinners to cross-country flights, right down to an expensive couch, all because you genuinely believe you're optimizing your spending by racking up air miles and reward points. After years of consulting and working with young professionals our age, I call this the illusion of success trap. The modern financial system has basically programmed us to believe that a heavy piece of metal in our wallet is the ultimate proof of status. From a behavioral science perspective, I want to share a simple but profound truth with you. Swiping a piece of plastic never triggers the pain center in your brain the way physically handing over cash does. We completely lose the physical connection to our money leaving our hands. Credit card companies understand this psychological blind spot perfectly, and they've engineered their reward systems so you just keep spending without feeling a single ounce of regret. On the outside, my life looked enviable. My credit score was sky high, and I had thousands of free air miles sitting in my account. But the second my apartment door closed, the reality was brutal. I was just someone desperately trying to survive. I was completely trapped in the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle, exhausted and just waiting for the next direct deposit. My entire salary for the month was really just paying for the lifestyle I had borrowed from the month before. I had zero real assets, zero actual freedom, and absolutely no peace of mind. Everything you saw was just a fake, perfect picture built on a fragile foundation of debt. Have you ever been there? That tight feeling in your chest whenever that end-of-the-month statement email hits your inbox, even if just the night before you were toasting to your glamorous life. Today, we're going to tear down that illusion together. I want you to imagine this. It's a typical Friday afternoon. You've just wrapped up a stressful work week. You're ready to finally unwind. And suddenly, the perfect little world you worked so hard to build starts to completely fall apart. Have you ever experienced that? That exact moment when the universe decides to test your absolute limits, not just with one bad thing, but with back-to-back shocks you never saw coming. For me, the first storm hit when Max, my senior dog, who had been by my side for years, suddenly got incredibly sick. If you're a pet parent, you know that gut-wrenching feeling of watching your little best friend suffer. In that moment, money wasn't even a thought. I just wanted the vet to do whatever it took to save him. But when they printed that vet bill, the number staring back at me was a cold, ruthless $6,000. And then, in the cruelest display of Murphy's Law, when it rains, it pours. The very next week, driving down the highway, my 2011 Honda, the car I relied on to get to work every single day, just died. The transmission was completely shot. The quote from the mechanic? Another $3,500. Almost $10,000 evaporated in barely 10 days. Just standing there, completely paralyzed, realizing that the shiny, successful exterior you've been projecting is actually entirely hollow inside. Here in the US, there's a terrifying psychological trend in personal finance. A huge portion of young adults mistakenly believe that a massive credit card limit is their emergency fund. And I was the poster child for that exact delusion. Because I didn't have a single dollar in cash savings, I just closed my eyes and put every single unexpected expense on plastic. The result? In the blink of an eye, I pushed myself right off a cliff into a $30,000 mountain of debt. But the absolute worst part wasn't the $30,000 itself. It was the brutal 24% annual interest rate that was quietly bleeding me dry, draining every drop of my energy and my income. Speaking from a finance perspective, I need to share this hard truth with you. Credit card interest is the most toxic form of compound interest, and it works aggressively against your future. You aren't just paying for a vet bill or a car transmission anymore. You are paying an incredibly steep price for your own lack of preparation. Every morning I woke up, I felt this suffocating weight crushing my chest. My complete breakdown didn't come from a broken car or a sick dog. It came from the terrifying realization that I had handed over my entire safety, my freedom, and my peace of mind to credit card companies. I was at rock bottom, looking up, asking myself, how on earth am I going to get my freedom back and crawl out of this mess? I vividly remember that quiet night, sitting numbly at my kitchen table. Under the dim yellow light, I was surrounded by scattered credit card statements. Staring at that massive, bleeding debt with its extortionate interest rate, I realized the entire financial system I had so proudly built had completely collapsed. It was right there, at my absolute rock bottom, shattered into pieces, that I finally woke up. From the ashes of that exhaustion, I learned 3 incredibly expensive lessons, painful but absolutely necessary, that completely changed my life. And today, I want to share them with you. Lesson number 1, which is also the most sophisticated trap we fall into. The psychological disconnect from our money. I want you to imagine this. You walk into a fantastic steakhouse on a Friday night and order a $100 dinner. If you had to open your wallet, count out 5 crisp $20 bills, and physically hand them to the waiter, your brain would immediately register a very real sense of pain from parting with that cash. That feeling of loss is a natural biological defense mechanism. It tells us when to stop. But what happens when you just swipe a solid metal card or tap Apple Pay? There is zero pain. A soft beep goes off, and you might even feel pretty stylish and high status. From a behavioral science perspective, experts call this frictionless spending. Credit card companies in the US have spent billions of dollars studying psychology to completely eliminate the physical pain of spending your money. When you swipe, your brain's guard completely drops. Even though I meticulously tracked every single expense in an Excel spreadsheet every month, I consistently overspent. Simply because those numbers dancing on a screen didn't give me any genuine feeling of loss. That piece of plastic completely hijacked my psychology, making me spend my future money while tricking me into thinking I was just enjoying the present. But that leads me to lesson number 2, the very thing I used to be the most proud of, the rewards illusion. Have you ever experienced this? That ultimate dopamine rush when you see your air miles or cashback balance go up after every swipe. It becomes so easy to buy an extra pair of shoes you don't really need, or order an overpriced late-night DoorDash, comforting yourself with the ultimate mantra, "It's fine, I'm earning points." Let's do the real math together, the math that banks never want you to do. You spend thousands of dollars buying things way beyond your actual needs just to get a 2% cash back, meaning you throw out $1,000 just to pick up $20 in pocket change. But in return, when you can't pay off your full statement balance at the end of the month, the system hits you with an interest rate of up to 24%. You are straining yourself paying hundreds of dollars in interest to the bank every single month, all to get a free cup of coffee from your points. That is not a win. That is a perfect illusion, meticulously designed to slowly erode your wealth. I used to smugly think I was playing the system, but the bitter truth was, the system was playing me. And lesson number 3, probably the most brutal lesson I had to face. Debt is an absolute emergency. In our American consumer culture, carrying a credit card balance from month to month has been normalized to a terrifying degree. We grow up treating credit card payments like just another utility bill or our monthly internet subscription. Have you ever felt like that? That sense of resignation, accepting that living with debt is just a mandatory part of adulting and independence. But as someone who has walked through that darkness, I have to tell you the truth. Credit card debt is never normal. From a financial philosophy standpoint, when you carry a balance, you are literally committing time theft. You are stealing the sweat, the hard work, and the money that your future self has to grind for, just to pay for an impulsive decision or a flashy item from your past. Debt is a fire silently burning down your financial house, and you cannot just sit there casually sipping tea. It's not something you just live with. It is a level 5 emergency that needs to be put out immediately. That night, staring at my own naked truth, I knew I couldn't keep lying to myself for another second. I walked over to the drawer, pulled out a pair of scissors, and made a decision that changed the entire trajectory of my life. That night, after facing the brutal reality of those statements, I knew I couldn't fix the problem using the exact same mindset that created it. I stood up, walked straight to my wallet, and pulled out every single one of those shiny credit cards, the very things that used to be my delusional source of pride. I want you to imagine this. You are holding the very tools that gave you infinite convenience, but which are also the exact chains binding your life. And you decide to put them in a box deep inside a drawer, and you lock it. Have you ever felt that way? That feeling of being terrified of losing a familiar safety net, but at the exact same time, sparking a profound sense of liberation. From an expert's perspective, I don't recommend calling and canceling all your cards immediately, because that can actually tank your FICO credit score by reducing your credit history length and available credit limit. Instead, I kept exactly one card, set it to autopay, a single fixed bill like my internet, and set it to automatically pay off the statement balance in full every month. That card existed purely to keep my credit score breathing. But in my day-to-day life, I officially quit plastic and went back to the basics: cash. I started using a method that might seem old school, but holds unparalleled psychological power: cash stuffing. Have you ever experienced this? When money is just soulless numbers dancing on a banking app, they feel like digital ghosts, coming and going without leaving any emotional impact on you. But when you hold real dollar bills in your hands, smell the ink, and manually stuff them into individual envelopes, everything completely changes. Behavioral science shows that spending physical cash creates a friction in your brain. Handing over a physical $20 bill triggers the pain center associated with loss, forcing you to pause for a beat and ask yourself, do I actually need this? And let me tell you how I completely transformed my relationship with money using my $1,085 paycheck that month. I stopped opening up an Excel spreadsheet and lying to myself. I withdrew the entire $1,085 in cash, spread it out on my kitchen table, and started allocating it into envelopes that represented my actual life. I took a $20 bill and slipped it into the car maintenance envelope. It's a small amount, but it was the disciplined preparation to ensure that Honda's transmission could never back me into a corner again. Next, I counted out $360 for my pet care fund. As I stuffed those bills into the envelope, I thought of Max. This wasn't just money. This was a promise to myself that I would always be able to take care of the lives I love without ever having to endure that kind of financial panic again. I kept going, putting $50 into an emergency fund. You see, the first few bricks are always small, but they are the foundation for building a shield to protect your future. The rest of it I allocated to my variable living expenses, household items, haircuts, home care. But there was one game-changing shift, and that was the takeout envelope. I used to burn hundreds of dollars a month on DoorDash just because I was too lazy to cook, justifying it by telling myself I was earning points. This time, I stuffed exactly $15 in there, just $15 for the entire month. All the temptation of getting meals delivered to my door instantly vanished when I looked at that flat, almost empty envelope. Switching to cash and cutting out credit cards felt like a brutal withdrawal at first. But then, something magical happened. When I took those envelopes to the grocery store, I didn't have that creeping anxiety about blowing my budget anymore. I knew exactly what I had. The restriction I had been so terrified of actually brought me a sense of absolute freedom. For the first time in my 30s, I wasn't working just to pay off the past. I was physically holding real money, allocating it to protect my present, and actively building my own future. As the suffocating weight of debt gradually lifted, thanks to the disciplined cash stuffing method, I noticed a magical transformation happening inside my mind. Have you ever felt that? That quiet moment when you wake up on a sunny morning and realize you don't have to open your eyes and immediately race against credit card bills. For years of my youth, I was imprisoned in survival mode, grinding from 9 to 5, waiting for every single paycheck just to keep my head above water. But when those cash envelopes helped me take back control of my present, I knew I couldn't just stop at being debt-free. I had to step into a higher state, wealth-building mode. True wealth never comes from just trying to scrimp and survive day by day. It sprouts from having a vision broad and deep enough for your own future. I want you to imagine this. It's a cold Monday morning, and you suddenly receive an email announcing a department-wide layoff at your company. In the US, waves of corporate layoffs or massive unexpected medical bills are things that can hit absolutely anyone. Normally, this triggers sheer panic, a racing heartbeat, and sleepless nights sweating over the mortgage. But in this scenario, you just take a sip of your coffee, smile with a sigh of relief, and think, well, it looks like it's time to take a few months off and pivot. That is exactly the invisible power of the first step in my future vision: upgrading my emergency fund to cover 6 full months of living expenses. From a neuroscience and financial psychology perspective, studies have proven that when you have a large enough cash reserve, the cortisol levels, the stress and anxiety hormone in your brain, drop significantly. This 6-month fund isn't just a lifeless number on a banking app screen. It's a shield protecting your dignity. It gives you the power to say no, to walk away from a toxic boss, to leave a toxic work environment, and to calmly weather unexpected storms without ever compromising your core values. With that shield of peace in place, my next journey was making my money work for me. Have you ever experienced this? You work your tail off, pinch every penny, keep them safe in a savings account, but then inflation silently steals the purchasing power of those dollars year after year. Realizing this brutal truth, I decided to go all in on maxing out my Roth IRA. For working professionals in the US, a Roth IRA isn't just a regular retirement account. It's an incredible privilege built into the tax code. The dollars you invest here will multiply, and you have the right to withdraw that entire fortune completely tax-free when you retire. Instead of chasing risky investment advice, day trading, or buying flashy assets I didn't truly understand, I chose a quiet, sustainable, and historically proven investment philosophy: pouring money into an S&P 500 index fund. Essentially, I am betting on the long-term growth of the 500 greatest companies in America. The real power here is the magic of compound interest, what Albert Einstein once called the 8th wonder of the world. When you invest consistently, your money makes interest, and then that interest makes more money. By letting time do its job, the small amounts of money today will automatically snowball into a multi-million-dollar portfolio over the next 20 years. That is the philosophy of planting seeds today so you can sit in the shade tomorrow. And the final piece of the puzzle, which was also the most crucial pivot for me to reach absolute freedom: income independence. In a highly volatile capitalist economy, putting 100% of your financial lifeline in the hands of a single company is actually the riskiest bet you can make. You should never let your livelihood depend entirely on a 9-to-5 job. So, I decided to wake up a forgotten passion, reopening my online shop on Etsy. But with a new owner's mindset, I didn't sell physical products that required me to spend hours packing, standing in line at the post office, and draining my energy. I shifted to creating and selling digital products, like budget tracking spreadsheets and digital planners. This is a beautiful economic principle of the internet age. You only spend the effort to create the product once, but you have the ability to duplicate and sell it tens of thousands of times to customers globally, even while you are fast asleep. It helped me completely decouple my time from my income. That's not just a second income stream. That is the true liberation of labor. You see, the vision of true wealth has never been about draping yourself in expensive designer clothes or trying to buy a supercar to fill an ego void and impress strangers. It is a process of quiet building, where you have an emergency fund to protect your sleep, the S&P 500 to build your future, and an independent income stream to own the game. True wealth, at the end of the day, is simply the ultimate privilege of buying back your time and having the freedom to design your life exactly the way you want it. I know, walking away from the flashy world of heavy metal credit cards and going back to physical dollar bills might feel like a massive step backward. But from a behavioral psychology standpoint, if we want to truly break a toxic spending habit, we need a physical intervention strong enough to shock our brains awake. So, the absolute best piece of advice I can give you, coming straight from my own financial scars, is this. If you are feeling suffocated by an endless cycle of debt, find the courage to grab a pair of scissors and cut up those credit cards today. Put yourself on a strict cash-only budget. Don't be afraid of the restriction, because the discipline you practice today is an incredibly cheap price to pay to buy back your freedom and a good night's sleep tomorrow. When you physically cut through that piece of plastic, you are literally cutting the invisible chains tying down your future. To help you navigate these first big steps, I've put together a completely free gift for you. It's an ebook called The 7-Day Financial Declutter Challenge, a highly actionable roadmap designed to help you clean up your financial mess and take back control of your money in just one short week. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button and click the link down in the description to grab your free copy right now. Finally, before we wrap up today's video, I really want to hear from you. Drop a comment down below and let me know, what is the biggest, most expensive money lesson you've learned so far in your life? Please share it, because your honest story might just be the exact spark of hope that someone else who is currently drowning needs to read. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me today, and I'll see you in the next video.